Bonjour! My name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV, the eau de vie edition. We're doing the Costco Wine Advent Box, and this is day 10. If you're new here, check this link, or look at the link in the description to watch the previous 9 episodes. I'm wearing my big Turkish sweater today because it's cold here in northern Minnesota, 8 degrees. That makes it sweater weather. Plus, you might want a parka, hat, gloves, long johns, neck gaiter, snow pants, big gloves. Okay, day 10. The Costco wine box has given us 5 whites, 4 reds. Are we going to find another red so we get red-white parity? Let's find out. Number 10. Up here, it's a holly leaf. This cardboard is starting to fail. Nope, it's a white one. Wow. Well, I was asking where the Rieslings were. Here it is, a Riesling, but from Bulgaria. Okay, that's new for me. Let's give it a taste. In day 7, that's the Pinot Grigio episode, I was talking about the Noble grapes. And of the 3 whites in the Noble grape list, you have Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay. The other one is Riesling. Well, here is our first example of Riesling. Now, Rieslings are noble because they can leave their homeland and go to another place and express the terroir of that place. The way the growing conditions are in that place expresses through the grape. The grape still is Riesling, but it can have new aromatics and flavors, and it can be made in newer styles that are very pleasing. Riesling is generally a high acid wine. It could be either made dry, the Germans call that Trocken, which you might see on a label, or it can be made into a sweet style, and the Germans have lots of qualifiers for sweet styles. It can also, at the end of that qualifier, it can also be made in a dessert style wine, a very beautiful, sticky, sweet dessert wine called ice wine. This Riesling, we don't know how it's made because I don't know how they make wine in Bulgaria. So what are you supposed to do? Well, you can look at the label. You can forget about all the text. You just need to find alcohol percentage. This says 11.5%. Okay, wines range between 8 to 15%. Why 15%? Because at 15%, anything higher than that, the yeast that is making the alcohol in the fermentation process, they start to die in the alcohol. It gets too rich for them. And so wines generally don't or can't ferment past 15%. If you have low alcohol percentage, what happened? Well, maybe it was cold and the yeast was going and making alcohol, and then it just kind of, like today for me outside, got sluggish and couldn't continue, and they died, leaving more residual sugar in the wine. Less alcohol, more sugar. More alcohol, less sugar. So there you go. You can look at the percentage on the label and determine the style of the wine, because these Rieslings can be either dry or sweet. You just really don't know, especially when it comes from a place you're not familiar with, Bulgaria. Now, Rieslings can be made in South Africa, they can be made in Washington State, they are made in Canada, they're made in Australia, they're made in France, they're made in Italy, and of course they're made in Germany. That's probably where the best Rieslings in the world come from. I hope we have a nice German Riesling in the box. That would be fun to talk about. They smell like tropical fruit, green apple, honey, and oddly, they can give an aroma in some very, very fine German Rieslings of diesel. Now, why would you want an aroma of diesel? You don't generally. And you don't taste the diesel. It just gives you this weird diesel aroma. And that might sound disgusting, just like the Chenin Blanc with the wet wool, but it actually isn't. It's just an interesting character to note. All of these aromas and all of these new flavors that come from wine, they're not added in. It's part of the fermentation process, part of the growing process, the fermentation process, and at the end, the maturation process. Those three things create aromas in wine. All right, enough talking about it. Let's drink it. The first thing we want to do is test our temperature. 58 degrees. That's fine. A little bit warm. Rieslings are, especially if they're high acid, are a little bit better, a little bit colder. But if you chill them too much, like you leave them in your refrigerator, then they are going to be numb and you're not going to smell all those wonderful things like the diesel. No, not really. Like the pineapple. Okay, let's see. Wow, I really made a mess with that. I was trying to pop the cork so you could see how it's done well, and then I screwed it up. Okay, here we are. Danube Plain Bulgarian Riesling. Now it's bright in here today, so I can see the color well. Riesling can sometimes have a greenish hue. Here's what it looks like to me. And I will fill out my card. So we've got Riesling from Bulgaria, and it will be made in stainless. The Germans many years ago had problems actually getting fermentation to kick off at the end of harvest because it was cold. And the wines in Germany wouldn't ripen necessarily enough to have enough sugar to kick that fermentation off. They would add sugar into the wines, and that's called chapitalization. Not capitalization, chapitalization, meaning adding extra sugar to start fermentation. But that is generally looked down upon and not allowed in many German named wine regions. But in Bulgaria, who knows? It's probably warm enough and they don't have to worry about having a low grape sugars in their wines. So let's smell this. It smells clean and a little bit sweet. I'm going to let that sit in the glass and I'm going to do my color. Okay, we've got, I'm going to say that's yellow. This is not greenish at all. And it's in a medium color. If I was looking at this at a blind taste test and I hadn't smelled it or done anything, it would look like a Chardonnay to me. Now, aromas, let's smell it again. A slight hint, I think, of pineapple. Maybe a little red delicious apple. There's something tropical in there. It smells nice. It's not overly aromatic as I would expect a Riesling to be. So, looking at my aroma chart, a 10 to 9 is strong aromas of varietal fermentation and style. I can't give it that because I know that Rieslings can be more expressive than this. So I'm going to give it a 7 because it's a very pleasant aroma. And I'm going to write pineapple here. Okay, let's taste it. Whoa, I'm looking forward to this. So, is it dry or sweet? Well, there is just a touch of sweetness there. It is not sweet. It's not medium sweet. It's not particularly dry. It's just a hint, a very, very small hint of sweet. And the body is light. The acidity, it's crisp. It could be tart. Some Australian Rieslings actually have that the little fizz to them that we saw in our Pinot Grigio, I think it was, or maybe it was the Torrontés. I can't remember, but it can actually be a little bit bubbly and spicy on the tongue because of that high Riesling acidity. But this is not that. So I'm going to go crisp, and I'm going to say 5. Nice, but nothing special. Balance. Do I notice the alcohol? No, because it's pretty low. Is the acidity fine? Yes, it's fine. No tannins and sugars. They're unnoticeable. The balance seems good. No, I'm going to say fair. It's fairly balanced. And I'm going to go 5 again. That's nice, but it's nothing special. Flavors and depth for complexity. All right. I mean, it's nice. I don't get a lot of extra flavors. I'll give it a 4. And finish in length. It seems to be that these Costco boxes or wines in the Advent box, some of their finishes are not really playing through. The wines are aromatic and expressive. They're okay. The acidity is fine. The balance is fine. Complexity is a little bit there, but the finish is where they fall out generally. Riesling, in particular, should have this long, beautiful finish. It should just go on and on and on and add all this aroma to your mouth. This doesn't. It's watery. Is it a bad finish? No, but it's a 3. Nothing to get excited about. That's too bad. I had high hopes. Oh well, I'm going to go do my math. Okay, here are my scores for our Day 10 Bulgarian Riesling. 7 for aroma, 5 for acidity, 5 for balance, 4 for complexity, 3 for finishing length, for a total of 24 points. Add that to 50 and you've got 74. Right in the middle of average. Now this is slightly unfortunate because this is not an average grape varietal. Riesling is one of the most exciting grape varietals that you can buy. It's super expressive. It's made in dry and sweet styles. It's aromatic and has long, beautiful finishes. It's extremely food friendly. It goes well with Asian foods like Thai food and Indian curries. It also pairs well with just about everything else. There's nothing that Riesling can't do, and there isn't a style that it can't be made in. You can spend a lot of money on Rieslings, and you can spend a little bit of money on Rieslings. I would suggest spending a little more money than you're used to and buying good examples of this wine. You will be rewarded in the glass. This is not a particularly rewarding example, but that's okay. The Costco wine box is giving us a tour. It's a Advent-ure, a world tour of wines. Anyway, that's all I've got for you for Day 10. I hope to see you tomorrow for Day 11. If you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you've tasted this Riesling, what do you think? Are you a Riesling drinker? Leave a comment in the comment area below. I like reading those, and I try to respond to everybody. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us on this wine adventure so far. We are adding subscribers every day. That's exciting. I'm growing this tiny little wine community here in the corner of my house in northern Minnesota. That's a fun thing to do during the ongoing pandemic. So until tomorrow, until Day 11, I say a tutelere and cheers.
Hello. I heard it's Riesling. Huh, Bulgaria. Weird. Not that distinctive. Smells fruity. Mouthfeel is a little bit bigger, which I like. High acid, tasty, slightly bitter on the finish, slightly burny in the belly. I still think I would drink it. Is it the best Riesling ever? Meh. Is it the worst?